Welcome back to the Broad Street Sports Podcast featuring Zachary Chavy, and today we got special guest Michael Spinoza talking some college football, NFL, and then some MLB at the very end. What's going on?
Oh, what's up, dude? Glad to be back.
Yeah, so we got not this week, but the following weekend we're gonna have the first version of the expanded college football playoffs, where it is a 12-team tournament. Now we'll have the bowl games for the first round, and then there'll be continuous bowl games. But then instead of just having four teams, it's a bracket tournament to decide who gets to the national championship and who ultimately wins the national championship. So. But just looking at the tournament itself, what are you expecting to? What are you looking forward to the most, and what are you expecting out of every matchup that we have, and like we've known for a while?
I like the expansion because you have 12 teams instead of 4, which that's a lot more teams. And I think like Boise State would never be in the college football playoff if it was 4, and these like small schools would just not be in. And you can show like Ashton Genty on a big stage, and it'd be nice to watch.
Exactly. I think mostly it gives these teams an opportunity to want to play later in the season because we've seen in years past once a team gets to one or two losses, they don't put much effort in because they think they have no chance at making the college football playoffs. And like you said, these small schools, they could go a perfect 12-0, but they just won't get the recognition compared to these other big schools. And I feel like the committee beforehand, say like a Boise State or like SMU went perfect, or even Indiana, they were close to being perfect. I don't think they would have got as much recognition because they're not like these big schools that play big teams every week. So I like that it's getting these smaller schools on a national stage, and it's giving a team a chance when, like, for example, like a team like Indiana, like they still played well, but they made the playoffs, but they still play well on top of it. It gives more energy to these teams and gives them more effort to want to win every week when they have a better chance than they had in years past.
Yeah, Clemson's an example. Like they were like 14, I think. They were out of the playoffs, but they won their conference, so they got put in the playoffs. I like that because Dabo is one of the best coaches in college football, I think. And him in the playoffs, it's going to be dangerous because he can upset a Texas, which
hmm
we'll be bringing up in later.
Yeah, but before we get into it, do you think there was any snubs in your opinion that didn't make the college football playoffs?
Everyone says Alabama, but they lost to Vanderbilt and all these schools. So I mean, I get Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, but that's one loss, and they beat 4 ranked teams. Alabama lost to 3 teams, so that's a big difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, and they've been here, they've done that. They were eventually gonna have a slump. Eventually, they lost one of the best college football coaches in history, in Nick Saban, and then Jalen Milroe played out of his mind, like when he can't could, but their team was still not good, and they're like they've lost a lot of guys in the past couple of years, and it seems like it's hitting them as the years go by. So
Yeah, I think a lot of guys transferred out when they saw Nick Saban retire.
yeah, so but getting into the tournament itself, the big games we have are Clemson and Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State, SMU, Penn State, and Notre Dame and Indiana, as we have Georgia, Boise State, Oregon, and Arizona State on the byes. What are you looking forward to, and what game matchup are you expecting to be the most exciting?
I think the most exciting is going to be the 12-5 Clemson Texas. I think Clemson, they just came off a big win against. Who did they just play?
SMU,
SMU, yeah.
yeah, in the championship
So,
game.
yeah. And Clemson played well. They late field goal to win it. It was a long field goal. I watched it. It was crazy.
Yeah,
But I
56
think that's
yards.
going to be the best matchup this weekend. 12 Clemson versus 5 Texas.
Yeah. In my opinion, I'm really liking the Ohio State Tennessee matchup because the last time we've seen Ohio State play, they got upset by Michigan, a team that had no intentions of doing anything the way they were playing. I want to see how Ohio State's able to respond under the lights at home because if Tennessee goes in there in the first round and knocks them off, there's going to be a lot of questions for them to answer in the offseason because they have their core players are still going to be there. But for a team this talented to not do anything in the playoffs, it's going to be interesting to see how the offseason will be treated for them.
Ryan Day with Ohio State, I think his time's come to an end there. They had C.J. Stroud. I think that was the year they lost in the game-winning field goal on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it was against Georgia. Like the game went into the new year. Like he missed the
Yeah, that
kick
was
in the new
crazy.
year. Yeah,
And I mean, ever since then, I mean, he's had so much talent. You see it in the NFL every week, and I think his time's up in Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at this point, it's like he's had, like you said, he's had the talent, and still has talent now. Abuka is an amazing receiver. Their running backs, Junkins and Henderson, are insane. Howard has been a great quarterback for them this year, transferring from Kansas State. Uh, and just overall, their defense is good. They're gonna have some first round, second round guys go in the draft this year. It just really comes down to if they can rise to expectations. Because in years past, they've had amazing teams, but just weren't able to finish the job. So it should be interesting. But just go individually at each matchup. I know we talked about Clemson and Texas, and then we just talked about Tennessee, Ohio State. How about the other two games where we have both of our teams in Penn State and SMU and Notre Dame and Indiana? What are you looking forward to in both of those games?
The Indiana Notre Dame. When Ohio State played Indiana, it was a blowout. Indiana hasn't played. The only ranked team they played was Ohio State, and I think that's going to come to show. And I think Notre Dame should easily dominate with the running back Jeremiah Love and probably one of the best defenses in college football with Xavier Watts and the first round selection Benjamin. So I think defense should hold them to probably under 20 easily, and their offense should roll. And Penn State, they need to get the tight end Tyler Warren. They need him to get the ball at least 15 times. I'm not saying SMU is a good team, but Tyler Warren's good and he's a game changer.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, all right, so starting off with the Notre Dame and Indiana game, like you said, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Indiana, they're one of these like nice teams. It's good to see them succeed because they've kind of been like the bottom feeder like the past couple of years. So it's good to see them rise up and get some great wins. But I think they're just going to be. It's a 7-10 matchup, but I don't feel like it seems like that way. It's two teams that are completely different. One team that's used to contending, and another team that really isn't. So I feel like you said, it is going to show. So I think Indiana keeps it close, but I feel like Notre Dame will probably pull out at the very end and get like a maybe 14-point win. I don't know, like double digits. I think at least. So
I'm looking at Indiana's schedule right now. Everyone's saying how they have the biggest victory margin. These are the teams they played. Western Illinois, they put 77 up. FIU, they put 31 up. And Charlotte, they put 42 up. So, I mean, that's really not talent.
yeah. And then moving on to the Penn State SMU game, I agree with Tyler Warren. It was like watching the game last week. I was surprised how efficiently we were able to run the ball. I haven't seen us run this well in a while. And except for the interceptions Drew Aller threw, the first one was bad. The second one was just bad play design. You don't throw a deep pass on second and one, but that's beside this point. But except for that, Drew Aller made the plays, and he like I think this is the first time in a while he's faced adversity. He was able to get back in this game and keep it close against the best team in the nation, and they showed that because they were able to dominate our defense. But I think overall, looking at this game, Tyler Warren needs to be involved. I think the defense will be hungrier because they knew they didn't perform to their greatest strengths against Oregon. So I think they're going to be ready to eat. Abdul Carter's ready. I know he's ready. And then Tyler Warren, I expect to have a big game. If Penn State wants to do anything, he needs to be their main guy. And if they can get the run game going like they did against Oregon, I'm telling you, they're dangerous. So yeah, but and then for the other games, did you have Ohio State or Tennessee winning?
Um, I think Tennessee will get the job done. Ohio State's coming off a Michigan loss, so yeah, I think that's going to hurt them. And I just don't trust Ryan Day. I mean, he's shown in the last couple of years he just can't get it done in the big game.
Yeah. And then looking at Clemson and Texas, I know you've talked high on Clemson. Clemson, do you actually have them winning now?
Yes, I think Clemson with Dabo gets it done because I was talking about the Clemson game with my dad and stuff, and I was like, Clemson's gonna be SMU only because of their coach Dowell, and I think it's gonna happen again where Texas just makes a couple errors and Clemson just keeps the ball, doesn't turn it over.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Clemson was before SMU came back. Clemson was dominating at least the first half, and I feel like the stakes will be even higher when they need to realize that they need to raise the stakes a little bit more because it's going to be a higher competition team. But just Texas offense just looks really weird for me. They easily had many scoring opportunities against a Georgia team that lost Carson Beck at the end of the first half. they could have easily ran away with this game, but to not even win the game is concerning for me. And I think that's what's going to be the deciding factor. I also have Clemson winning, and then I also have Tennessee winning because I just feel like Ohio State, that loss to Michigan and them not having a chance to play and then Big Ten championship. I know losing isn't the best thing, but having an experience against the number one team in the nation, I feel like that's exactly what Penn State needed. And I said this to you. As long as we kept the game competitive, that's all I wanted. And exactly what we did. And I feel like Ohio State, they lost. They didn't have an opportunity to play another week. And I know a rest is always a great thing, but coming off a loss like that, I feel like sitting there and not being able to get on the field and try to win a game, I feel like that's going to get to them, and it's going to be the reason they lose.
And Texas, Quinn Ewers all year just hasn't shown like he's that guy. I think they should have started Arch Manning, but they're going to keep riding with Quinn Ewers and see how that gets them.
Yeah, because it's going to be interesting to see because apparently Quinn Ewers is just like still up in the air if he wants to stay another year or go to the draft. Because I feel like the way it seems like for Texas right now, it seems like they're ready to move into the Arch Manning era. I feel like I think they've been ready for a while, and I feel like Quinn Ewers staying this year again, I felt like they just had to make him the starter again because he's been their guy the past couple of years. But I feel like they're officially ready to move into the Arch Manning era. It's gonna be interesting to see though what Quinn Ewers does because he has all the power in this situation on what he wants to do. So.
The thing with Arch Manning is he can throw the ball downfield, but he can also scramble, and you see that when they put him in there, like they run and he can pick up 5-10 yards at a time. And with Quinn Ewers, you just don't have that, and he's just a pocket passer, so that hurts them too.
Yeah, and Texas's offense is so fast moving, like they can fly down the field. Isaiah Bond is a great receiver. I can't remember the guy who scored the touchdown last week for them, but he flew, like he broke a tackle and just went 0 to 60 like that to score a touchdown for them. They have a fast offense. I feel like a scrambling QB would be just the right piece for them. And it's just a rarity at this point because the Mannings are not the Manning generation is not known for scrambling, and it's having this rarity. It might be a special thing. Who knows? But
especially when you have all these fast guys like Texas, all the corners are running straight downfield trying to cover the wide receivers so they don't see the quarterback running. So we can pick up 5, 10, 20 yards at a time because they're just not paying attention to them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, but moving let's talk about the because we don't know how the playoff matchups because I feel like if I'm not mistaken, Texas, the winner of Clemson Texas would be playing Arizona State. Is that correct?
It doesn't reseed, so whatever the bracket is now, I'm on ESPN, so let me try and pull one up.
Yeah, because like the way it shows right now, it's like Clemson, Texas, like it's right next.
Yeah, they would play Arizona. Tennessee, Ohio State plays Oregon. Indiana, Notre Dame would play Georgia. SMU, Penn State would play Boise State.
Yeah, so before we move into like the possible matchups and stuff like that, how are you feeling about each team that's on a bye right now? How much confidence do you have in each of them, and what teams do you feel like you don't have as much confidence in? It could easily get knocked out by a team coming in after winning the first round.
I mean, 3 and 4. I mean, most of these teams out playing this next week are way better than 3 and 4. So I think that's going to hurt Boise State and Arizona State. I just don't think they're top tier contender, but they're good in their own right.
Yeah.
They both have 2 great running backs, which probably Arizona's will probably go later in the draft, but Ashton Jenkins a top 10 pick easily, if not top 5.
Exactly. And I don't want to say his name wrong. I think it's Skeetabo or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he opened some people's eyes the way he played in the championship game last week. I just remember seeing all these highlight plays. I was down at like Wells Fargo, but I just see all these like highlights of him playing. I'm like, wow, I haven't seen this. I haven't heard anything about this running back, and he opened a lot of eyes. His ability to break tackles and go down the field, it's gonna be interesting to see. But then what I want to talk about is Boise State. I want to see that. I want to find. I feel like there is a team that out there that can stop Ashton Jeanty, and as long as you do that, I think that's all you need to do to win the game because they are so reliant on him. If you look at his stats, I think he either had close or over 300 attempts on the year. Like he had close to 2,500 yards and I think over 30 touchdowns. He was their entire offense, and if you find a way to shut him down and neutralize him, you're going to have to put the arms in their quarterback, and I feel like that's just the right recipe on what these teams are looking for. So,
344 carries, 2,497 yards, 29 touchdowns, and he's averaging 7.3 yards per rush. So if you stop Genty, the offense relies on one-on-one matchups with wide receivers. So if you stop Genty, you can play more zone, which the wide receivers are going to have to do more, and the quarterback going to have to do more.
Yeah. But ultimately, looking at it, so how we have been matching up in the second round, we'll have Clemson and Arizona State. We both have Tennessee, so Tennessee, Oregon, Penn State, Boise State, and then Notre Dame and Georgia. What second round matchup, if those are the ones that happen, are you most intrigued about?
I think a Clemson Arizona State would be nice,
Yeah.
or a Penn State Boise State to see how Penn State can stop Ashton Genty. That'll be pretty cool because Abdul Carter, he's an edge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's really good. He's top 5 easily.
Yeah.
So you can see how their D line tries to stop Genty.
Yeah. So I think ultimately when it comes like looking at matchups, like I'm looking at the one all the way at the bottom. I want to see Georgia Notre Dame because I want to see who's the quarterback for Georgia because I feel like that's going to play a huge factor. I know the Georgia winning this game is massive for them because they get their quarterback to get some rest. It's going to be interesting to see if they can put Carson Beck out there, but if they don't, I feel like that could be very easily for Notre Dame to take advantage of that. So, but how we had the second round matchups shaped up. Who do you have winning each of them?
I was just looking up Carson Beck's injury. It doesn't say that he's officially out. It just says they're not sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for the second round,
Yeah, we have Clemson, Arizona State,
yeah,
Tennessee, Oregon, Penn State, Boise State, and then Notre Dame, Georgia.
I think if Penn State can stop Genty, I think Penn State can win. And I think without Carson Beck, the inexperience from their backup, Notre Dame should be able to win. And their defensive coordinator is one of the best. And I think that he can give different disguise and mess with his head and throw a couple picks. And if you just rely on Jeremiah Love, the running back, you should be able to win that game.
Yeah, because you saw it last week. The Georgia when the quarterback had to come in for Georgia, he threw an interception. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and if it wasn't for Texas' inability to score, they easily would have ran away with the game. So it's like, I feel like Georgia, they're happy they won, but they almost got bailed out of Texas just being stupid and not knowing what to do. So. But how about the top matchups? The Rose Bowl between Oregon and Tennessee, and then the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl between Clemson and Arizona State.
I think Clemson should beat Arizona State, and I don't know. I don't think I'm sold on Oregon. I know they played Penn State, which was that Penn State's a really good team. They're in the playoffs, but I think Tennessee can beat Oregon. I just don't trust them enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, like it's like for their first year coming to the Big Ten and just like dominating, it feels like eventually they got to have like a bad. Like I know they've had some bad games this year, but they've like won it. But like I'm waiting for one of those bad games that like Gabriel loses them the game. I just haven't feel like that has happened for them at this point because they haven't lost. I know, but it hasn't felt like to a point where you can put the blame just on their quarterback. He's been playing amazing. Don't get me wrong, but their defense has been really good, one of the best this year, and it looked like Penn State woke up. When they woke up, that seems like they were able to just dominate them in the trenches and just have a great rushing attack. So, but I
When,
have Clemson. Go ahead, sorry.
when Oregon played a ranked team, they played Boise State. They won by 3. They played
Oh,
Ohio State. They won by 1 on the slide that
yes.
the Ohio State slide that cost them. And they really haven't played. The only other ranked team they played was Penn State, and Penn State made it close. The
So
interception at the end by the quarterback was just dumb play calling.
yeah.
I think you had 2 timeouts and the 2-minute timeout left.
Yeah, it was. I think we had at least two, and we were down by 8 only because he decided to go. Franklin decided to go for 2 earlier in the game. So he's a whole other discussion, though. So, but I agree with you on the Clemson beating Arizona State, and I would love to see Tennessee beat Oregon, but I just feel like Oregon's one of those teams. It's like they'll play bad, but they'll play well enough to win it at the end. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Oregon has those playmakers.
Yeah. So that would set up a Final Four for me of Oregon, Clemson, and Penn State and Notre Dame, and you would have the same thing, just Tennessee instead of Oregon.
Yeah.
So, as our hypothetical Final Four matchups, if obviously the one at the bottom, both of our teams facing off. Without trying to be the most biased as possible, who do you have winning this game, and what would you look forward to in this matchup?
I think if Penn State can stop Ashton Genty, they could probably stop Jeremiah Love, which that means Notre Dame's gonna have to put the ball on the quarterback, and I'm not really sold on the quarterback, Ryan Leonard.
Yeah,
So I think Notre Dame's defense is gonna have to keep them in the game, and I think Notre Dame will get it done by their defense.
yeah. Uh, Looking at this game, it's so tough because I think both teams have been playing like really solid. Like they've been playing like complementary football. Like both of their defense has been really picking up the pace for them when their offense has not been doing much. So, and I think, like you said, the defense, whoever plays the better defense in this hypothetical matchup, is gonna win them the game. And just looking at the game, I think Penn State playing Boise State is gonna if we beat SMU, of course. If Penn State playing Boise State, if we do beat SMU, is gonna tell us a lot. I think if we dominate Ashton Genty, we win the game. If we don't dominate Ashton Genty, we win the game. I don't think we beat Notre Dame. So either way, I think it comes. I don't know if I can like fully make a decision, but it's going to come down to and how we can stop the run in these next two matchups to get ready for a Notre Dame team. If you guys make it there too, also
Yeah, I
that
mean we're playing Georgia. I mean Kirby Smart, one of the best college football coaches. I mean, won two straight national champions, so
hmm
that's a tough task.
yeah. So, but that's just how I feel about the game. I really can't pick a team because like I just looking at everything as a whole, the defenses are going to play a big part. But I just want to see what Penn State can do against SMU and Boise State before I can feel confident in making a decision because it's going to come down to how they can stop the run. Because after SMU, it's all about the running backs. Because even if Georgia beats you, they still got Trevor Etienne. So it's
Yeah.
yeah. So. But looking at the top matchup, I have Clemson and Oregon, and you have Tennessee and Clemson. Who would you have winning that?
If I'm not mistaken, I think Tennessee has a freshman quarterback, a true freshman quarterback.
Yes.
I think Clemson can beat freshman quarterback, so I think Clemson can make a nice run.
Yeah, I could see it. I just have Oregon. I think Clemson. They're gonna make some noise in the playoffs. I definitely don't put it past them, but I think they're gonna meet their match with Oregon, and I feel like it's just gonna be a game that's in the trenches. And I have much more confidence in Oregon in the trenches than I do Clemson. So,
Yeah,
but that sets up a national championship for you. It's Clemson. It's you have Clemson and Notre Dame. Is that correct?
yeah,
And then I have Oregon. It's just I don't know. You know what? For the heck of it, I'll just for the hypothetically, I'll just put Penn State in there, rematch of the Big Ten
yeah.
championship. Who would you have winning that national championship? I already know, but go ahead and say it.
Notre Dame can win the national championship if they beat Georgia the second round. That's the bottom line. That's the toughest team, in my opinion, in the college football playoffs. Oregon, they're number one. Congrats. I mean, they got they got participation trophy. I mean, they didn't lose any games, but they also didn't play anybody besides Penn State in the Big Ten championship, which Penn State kept it close. Boise State kept it close, and Oregon and
Ohio State.
Ohio State kept it close. So I think Notre Dame can win the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to what team plays the best when it matters most. I feel like I think
It
it's just
is.
gonna come down to it's a new territory for these players because most of these players, none of them are new. They've been playing for at least 2 to 3 years, so it's gonna come down to what team can band better together and just build that complementary chemistry and just like take it somewhere. So
The only thing I could see Notre Dame losing to Georgia is Notre Dame's offensive line is freshman and sophomore, so they're really young. So I think Georgia can if Georgia can dominate the offense, their Notre Dame's offensive line, they can win. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, like that's pretty much really what it comes down to. Like it's like whatever, like what these teams like their MO is, like it's gonna come down to if that MO can continue to be the same as like the playoffs go on if they keep moving forward. So yeah, but for me in my hypothetical championship, I have Oregon and Penn State. I would love to have Penn State win, but I think it's Oregon's year. I don't know. I feel like their team just plays so well. I'd love to see Penn State win the national championship. Even to get there, that would be amazing. But I just think Oregon's just one of those teams where it's gonna be tough to knock them out. And even if you play like they can win in many ways. They'll win low scoring games, and they can win like they did last week. They can win any type of game, which that's what scares me about them. So, but yeah, my national championship as of right now is Oregon. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're number one in the country for a reason. The committee put them there for a reason. They have good team.
Yeah. So, and then we're gonna we're gonna move on from there from the college football. We just thought we'd give you our predictions as of right now. We'll probably update you as the playoffs go on, and then once we get to the national championship, give our thoughts on that. So, but we're gonna move on to the NFL. Talk about just two games this week, not do the whole NFL picks. We're gonna talk about the two major games coming up. Unfortunately, both at the same time. So, but first one we got is the 10-3 Bills against the 12-1 Detroit Lions. The Lions coming off a huge Thursday night football win on the game-winning field goal by Jake Bates, 34-31, and the Bills coming off a tough loss in a complete shootout against the Rams, where Josh Allen looked like a superstar, scoring 6 touchdowns, three passing, three rushing. The first time since Otto Graham did it in the championship game against Detroit, I think. But other than that, like just looking at this game, what are you looking forward to, and who do you ultimately have winning this massive game for both teams?
Detroit's defense is hurt. They're on like the third string of everything, and I think that's what's going to hurt them moving forward from here on out because they've been winning these games by. I mean, I saw something. It said Jared Goff when he put his knee down. When he's behind the line, he should have been down by, like ruling by down, which would have been the Packers' ball because it
Yeah,
was behind the line of scrimmage. So I mean, they got lucky with one there, and I think Buffalo can win the game just because their offense is so explosive with Josh Allen. He's easily the MVP this year, and the Bills' defense, you've seen it all year. They've been playing so well.
yeah. No, I totally agree. I think so you have the Bills probably winning this game, right?
Yeah, the Bills winning.
Yeah, I have the Bills too, and it seems like Detroit. This is like the type of game I feel like they have. I could see them losing. They've had a couple close calls the past couple weeks, close games. I know it's two division teams, so the games are always usually played close. But at the same time, though, Buffalo, I feel like is a team that matches up amazing against them. It's going to be impossible for them to stop Josh Allen. I just think that's what it's really going to come down to. And I think Keon Coleman will be back for them, and Dalton Kincaid are, I think, both set to come back this week. So I think that's huge for Josh Allen. And I think their defense is ready to have a rebound game against the Lions. Because if you think about it, a couple weeks ago, the Lions should have easily lost against the Houston Texans. Goff had 5 interceptions. They looked terrible, and they lost the game. If Goff does this in this game, the Lions will get destroyed, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw five, if you even throw one against the Bills, I think Josh Allen's MVP. He showed that. I mean, with Stephon Diggs, it looked like he was just trying to force the ball to Diggs because he just was a diva and wanted it. So I think Josh Allen can look for the open man now. Find if there's no open man, he can run, and he's just crazy.
Yeah.
MVP type season from
Exactly.
Allen.
And I think this is what people have been waiting to see out of Allen. He's limiting the turnovers, and he's still putting up insane numbers. It's because he's distributing the ball. Khalil Shakir has become one of the most underrated receivers in the game, like that. He's an amazing slot receiver. Keon Coleman, I think, will be a great receiver for years to come. James Cook has looked good. They brought Amari Cooper, and even though he hasn't made it as much impact as they wanted to, Allen's not forcing the ball to him, so it really isn't a big of a deal. And then Kincaid was good before he got hurt. Dawson Knox has been good. They have Matt Collins, who's been insane, and their leading touchdown scorer, I think. And then their defense has been the biggest surprise. They've lost a lot of players on defense, and it's one of the most underrated, if not one of the best in the league, the way they play. Like, Rasul Douglas has been good. DeMar Hamlin, I can't believe, he's all the way up for a starting role for them now, and their pass rush has been absolutely phenomenal for them this year, so.
When the tragic thing happened to DeMar, I don't think he was a starter at the time,
Mm-mm.
and ever since then, I mean, I paid more attention to him, and he showed a lot. Like he's really one of the top safeties in the league. He hits hard. He breaks up passes. He's just really good right now.
Yeah, and I think I want to say this for good and for bad. I would like to give a lot of props to Sean McDermott for the good stuff he does, but I also want to discard him for the lot of bad stuff he does because he's costed them I think 2 out of these 3 losses I think because his decision making against Houston lost them that game, and then calling a QB sneak with under a minute left, you got to pass the ball there I think because that pretty much ended the game for them. They had to go for an onside kick, and the way this game was swinging, if they score and keep all their 3 timeouts and they're able to kick it off to the Rams, I think the Bills get it stopped, and I think Josh Allen drives down the field and wins the game. That's just my opinion, the way they've been playing and the way that game is trending to. But and you saw how the Rams played last night. I know it was crazy conditions, but it shows how much a team can go from firing to what they put up last night. So, but yeah, I also have the Bills winning this game. So, but moving on to another massive game. This game was already massive to begin with, but it became even more massive with the storylines we've heard throughout the week. I know I've talked to you about this all week at school, but just talking about it right here, right now. What are your thoughts on what happened like after the game, like all the comments that were said, and then the following day, and then it's now boiled down, and it seems everyone's calm. So
AJ Brown really didn't need to say it out there. He on Monday meetings he could have said that. Like he could have like showed Jalen Hurts like, yeah, I was open on this route or I was single covered on this route, throw me the ball. He didn't need to do Hurts dirty and just on national TV. That's something you keep private and you just work on practice. That's easy to work on.
yeah, no, I agree. And then the whole thing about BG that came out, it's like, I mean, BG, he's always going to speak his mind, but he's got to know he's a 15-year veteran here. He's been in the Philadelphia he's been in the Philadelphia media. He knows how this crowd is when there's controversy, and it wasn't that long ago when we had the same situation with McNabb and Terrell Owens. That was I know Brandon Graham wasn't here yet, but if they don't figure it out, it could come to the trajectory of that. And I know I don't think it was the best comment when he said like they used to be friends and now they're not. I don't think they're necessarily not friends anymore. It's just their relationship as friends has changed a little bit because now they're not like friends looking from afar. Like when you like I feel like in a business like that, like it's different not working with your friend than working with your friend because there's going to be disagreements you have about things. Like you're not going to always have positive conversations compared to what you have like outside. But I think what it really comes down to is it has been an issue with this passing attack, and I know the past couple weeks Saquon's been able to bail us out, and he's looked great and stuff like that. And he's up there for the. I think he's pretty much put his name in for the Offensive Player of the Year. If he breaks Eric Dickerson's record, he's very much up there for the MVP. So, but there is a point with the passing attack. I've seen the issues. I think people have said this a lot. This with winning cures a lot, but it's also to a point where winning is not going to always cure you in the playoffs because teams play like they'll keep their game plan, they'll keep the play style they kept in the regular season, but they'll just add to it more because they can expect the unexpected. And you're going to have a good passing attack to get you to the Super Bowl because I think Detroit, they even though they've been banged up, they are going to have players back if they make it to the NFC Championship. And every team that's going to be playing you in the playoffs, they're going to scout the run. They're going to be heavy on it. So having a good passing attack it's what's going to lead to success. It's what's got us to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. That passing was great, and then the run game. 2 years ago, this team, in my opinion, I think is better already right now. It's just figuring out what's the issue they got to figure out. But I think 2 years ago, they did what they should be doing right now. They didn't do it as much that time, but they should be complementing the run with the pass. So they should start off, their game plan should be like their first quarter game plan. I don't know what they scout throughout the week, but it just doesn't work. In my personal opinion, I think they should go heavy on the run so then they can lead into the play action. It's like both of those go perfectly hand in hand. Jalen Hurts will feel more comfortable and he'll able to get it to these key guys for big plays. So
the only way play action works is if you have a good running game. Because when you play action, all the guys are going to come in thinking it's a run. And you have A.J. Brown 101, Devontae Smith 101, Grant Calcaterra 101, and who's the Dobson 101. So I mean, there's some playmakers out there. You can throw it to any one of them, and I would trust the Eagles wide receivers to make a play.
Exactly. And I think like I know everyone's been slandering on Jalen Hurts. In my personal opinion, I know he hasn't played the best, and this is coming from a guy who supported Jalen since day one, and I completely put my faith into that. I'm gonna believe in him to the very end. I know I did the same thing with Carson Wentz, but I feel like Jalen just a different player than Carson was ever gonna be, in my opinion. But I think Jalen, he has been playing the best. I think his biggest issues is just letting the ball go, trusting his receivers. A.J. Brown is going to come down with those 50-50 balls. Even Smitty might come down with those 50-50 balls. Both those guys, you paid them big money. You put the trust in them. You did it the past couple of years. It's got you to what it. That's why you traded for a guy like A.J. Brown. That's why you drafted a guy like Devontae Smith. These guys are here to make plays, and if you put the trust in them, that's all they're going to need. So, in my personal opinion, if they are able to run the ball like they have been, which I think they should be able to. And if they find a way to get a passing attack going, Hurts at least has 240, 250 passing yards, I think they're fine, and I think they're still on a perfect trajectory to go face Detroit in the NFC Championship game. I think if we win this game pretty convincingly, our passing game looks like it's one of the best in the league, and our run game complements off of that. We're one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL, and I feel like Detroit would officially have to. We'd be neck and neck with Detroit the rest of the way. I think.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, Detroit going to the NFC Championship game. I think that's a little out of their reach just because of their defense. But yeah, the passing game. I think Jalen Hurts is just scared to throw the 50-50 ball to A.J. Brown. I think he's scared of a turnover, which, I mean, he has 5 on the year, which is great. That's low. I mean, with A.J. Brown, it's not a 50-50 ball. It's more like a 80-20 ball. He's so strong, and he can out jump the corner. And Smith, he's so fast. He can fly by a corner, and he can jump too. He can not out muscle, but out jump a corner.
Yeah. His athleticism jumps off the screen. Like he made a couple plays. He made a play against Washington last year, close to the end of the half, like in the Week 4 game, where he just like jumped up in the air and like caught it and like hit the ground. But I think like what you just said, it's like getting AJ Brown the ball. He seems pissed off right now, and I feel like if it's best for Kellen Moore right now, it's putting the game plan around him, like not putting the full game plan around him, but make sure you're getting him the ball. Because I mean, you see our record without AJ and with AJ, like it's a huge difference. I know he's not been getting the ball the past couple of weeks, but he makes a difference on this team because he makes defenses scared. I mean, like it's just like a perfect example. I mean, like AJ's been here for a couple years, and this has just been a low season for him. He's had 66 catches, or 66 targets. I know he's missed 4 games, but still, I mean, like, you still got to get on the ball, but ultimately what this game comes down to, I know the defense is going to respond off that. The defense has been good all year, and Pickens already got ruled out for Pittsburgh, so that's definitely interesting in my opinion. And then, like I said about the Eagles, sticking to the fundamentals, sticking to the stuff that I said they need to stick to, I feel like they'll win this game if they can do that, and I think I have them winning this game only because like I think the team looks like it's stronger after all this talk about them. It seems like they're even stronger than they were before all this talk about them. So I think that's what's going to help them get this win and hopefully lead them to a trajectory of something greater that everyone in Philadelphia wants to see.
The Eagles' defense, ever since the bye week when they started Cooper Jean and sat Avonte Maddox, that's been their changing point. They were 2-2 going into the bye, and they haven't lost the game since. And that defense with Cooper Jean and Quinyon Mitchell, they're so good. And I know the pass rushing hasn't been like what people think, but it's still one of the best. You have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in the middle, Sweat on the edge. Nolan Smith took a big step this year, I think. He's attacking the quarterback. And the linebackers with Zach Ball, I don't think anyone expected this. And N'Kobe Dean just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, really good ball.
Yeah, and then I think Reed Blankenship should be back for this game if I'm not mistaken, which is a huge thing for them because McCollum, I don't think he played the best. Like, because Chauncey had to step up and he had a huge game. He had a big hit on Leggett on 3rd down, and then that had that huge interception which we needed. So, and I think Chauncey, he's been playing well the past couple weeks. So, and I feel like like you said, the linebackers have been a godsend. I haven't seen linebackers this good in like years. Like Zach Bond has been that good. Like I think he's like we haven't seen this since like Trotter. I know we had T.J. Edwards, Kazir White. I know Jordan Hicks was here for a little bit and played well, but we haven't seen this dominant of a linebacker since a Trotter. So, but I just think it comes down to the defense plays well, the offense finds out what they need to do, and I think the Eagles win this game because I think if they're able to get a couple turnovers on Pittsburgh, I think that's all the Eagles need. They just need to come out with fire. If the Eagles need to score first quarter points. It's simple as that. They need to find a game plan where they're at least scoring 7 to 10 points and feeling comfortable going into the next quarter. I wouldn't even consider if you win the coin toss getting the ball first, showing the people that your offense can still win you games, and like your defense. I know it's been great. The defense has been winning us some of these games because it has been happening in years past, which is great. But for the offense to go out there and say, "We got your back, defense," I think it's exactly what they need, and so
The only thing I'm worried about, this might sound weird, but the special teams, Jake Elliott hasn't had a field goal from 50 plus, and he's just been rocky. Just like most of the kickers have been rocky this year. So I don't know if the NFL changed like the balls or something, but
yeah,
it's like all over the NFL right now. Justin Tucker is easily a Hall of Fame kicker. He's playing terrible this year.
yeah,
People wanted him released after the Eagles played Baltimore, and I hope Jake Elliott finds it because we're gonna need him in the playoffs. Because like when there's a couple seconds at halftime and you're at like the 50, you want to try a long field goal just to get points
yeah,
before hit.
yeah. I mean, like it's been weird this year. I mean, Elliott's been one of our best players the past couple years, and I feel like it's just been an off year for him. Like you said, it's been an off year for a lot of kickers. Like two of the best guys to ever play, like whoever to kick like in the league have been really shaky. So it's like I don't know what to really say. So I mean, there's not like it's gonna be interesting to see if they can bounce back, but so
Yeah, I just looked it up. The NFL hasn't changed the kicking ball, so it's just the normal kicking ball. So it just must be something the kickers are doing different. I don't know if the kickoff has them doing like weird stuff because it's a new kickoff, and I know Jake Elliott doesn't kick off, but just the thought of that, I'm not sure.
yeah,
But
it's
just
definitely
all over the NFL, and it's weird.
yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least. But any other words you want to say on either of those games or?
No, I think the Eagles can win that game just because their offense is stronger than Pittsburgh's defense, and not having George Pickens hurt you is the biggest hurt they have
Yeah,
because they need George Pickens. He's a tough guy for them. He's like an AJ Brown. 50-50 balls, not 50-50 for them.
yeah. It would have been funny to see though him versus C.J. Gardner-Johnson because he's famous for having his crash out. So that definitely would have been funny to see. So, but
I saw something the other day. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was voted the most annoying player in the NFL by current players.
yeah, I love it. I mean,
I think BG was like fifth.
yeah, I mean, you gotta love it. You saw the impact he made in 22, and you saw how this team looked in 2023. They just didn't have any firepower to them. They didn't have any smack talk to them, and you saw it in the San Francisco 49ers game. If Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was there last year, he ain't letting the Niners taunt through their sideline. So,
No, yeah.
yeah,
That definitely hurt them this year because every NFL team has like a talker, and like the good ones have talkers. BG for years, and now C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's just amazing for Philly 'cause that's kind of what we are.
yeah. I mean, we're that. Sorry, we're that team that just smacks you in the mouth and like see if you want to respond. So,
A couple years ago when we played the Giants, Brandon Graham was talking all kinds of snap to like the Giants D lineman, and Jason Kelsey was like, "All right, now I gotta block him."
yeah, like BG, he'll trash talk, but it's to a point where some of his own teammates will get annoying because they got to go out there and face him. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's just funny, like as a Philly fan, that just makes every other team hate us.
Yeah, he gets it. So yeah, but moving on to the final topic of the day, we're gonna talk about some MLB. We've had 5 major moves happen now that winter meetings are going on. The first and foremost one that happened last Sunday, the biggest contract ever handed out to a player in sports history as Juan Soto gets a 15-year, $765 million contract. What were your thoughts when you originally saw that, and what do you expect his impact to be on this team?
He Juan Soto is great. Great. He's just not. He's not one of the. He's not the best player in the MLB. I think that's hands down Otani. And for him getting more than Otani, I think that's crazy. And the Mets are just going to spend. And I mean, I think Pete Alonso's not going to be there.
Yeah, I think like you said, uh, Juan Soto is an amazing player, one of the top 10 players, maybe even not the top, maybe even like one of the top 5 players in the league after what he showed in the playoff run and for the Yankees as a whole. But getting paid more than a guy who can pitch and hit for you, I just find insane. I feel like I predicted more of a Soto contract being this like a long year contract, but maybe in like the 506 or $600 million, like a whole lower tier than Otani. But so
The Mets just threw everything they had at him. They wanted him to bring in the fans.
yeah, they're gonna throw the money at any way they can. So
I saw something. The Yankees offered him almost the same contract, but Juan Soto wanted a suite at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees just weren't going to give it to him. So I think that's the reason he left. Which that's I don't know.
yeah,
When you put Aaron Judge, I mean, I personally wouldn't want to leave Stanton. I mean, the Yankees had a great team.
They just got overmatched by the Dodgers, who were playing better. And Yankee Stadium's an amazing play. It's amazing to play for a hitter. Their porches are really short, and you could rake in there. It showed. Juan Soto had 41 homers last year. Aaron Judge has been phenomenal. Had another 50 home run season, close to 60, I think. So
Especially if you're a left-hand hitter hitting it in right field. I mean, that porch is so short and it's so close.
exactly. So. But moving on to the next big move that happened, I think the following day, Max Fried inked his contract, an 8-year, $218 million contract with the New York Yankees. What are your thoughts on this contract and the Yankees bolstering to an already great rotation?
I think getting Max Fried helped them because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they have any lefties with Nestor Cortez obviously leaving to go
They have
with
Rodon.
Rodon.
Hmm.
So you have two lefties, which I think that's perfect for an MLB team. And you still have Garrett Cole. He's top of his game, and I think that's just going to make them a great pitching team. And they just got Devin Williams, an elite closer, and he can shut the game out for them.
Yeah.
You have Aaron Judge, Stanton, and the only thing is their second base because I'm not sure if Glaver's coming back. I think that would be the only rough spot for them.
Yeah. And like you just said, like about Devin Williams, who we'll talk about towards the very end, one of the moves that happened today. I really like these moves for the Yankees because look, not re-signing Juan Soto right now is looking like a smart decision for them. They've been able to bring a guy like Max Fried for way less, get a guy in Devin Williams with a trade for a guy Nestor Cortez who hasn't been like, who really didn't have like a real like I think chance on this roster this following year, and then they could go out and spend big on a guy like Pete Alonso, go trade for a guy like Cody Bellinger. They still have a whole lot of money to go make moves because of Juan Soto. So I feel like Juan Soto going to the Mets, it's a huge player to lose, but it might benefit them in the end and the amount of players they're able to bring in.
I think the Yankees can get both Pete Alonso and Cody Bellinger because Pete Alonso as a right-handed power hitter, you just need a left-handed power hitter. I think Cody Bellinger, if you put him in between Alonso and Judge, I mean, Cody Bellinger can rate. You saw that with Jason Hayward when he was a Philly.
Yeah. So, but moving on to the next deal, we have another trade. Garrett Crochet our first trade. We had Crochet getting traded to the Red Sox. This happened on Tuesday, or no, it happened yesterday, I believe. But the Red Sox gave up a lot. I think they gave up 4 prospects. They're number 4, number 5, and like another one was 15, and I can't remember the other one. I think it was 13. But looking at this move, do you think the Red Sox gave up too much, or you think this was the right price for a guy who was really good last year?
I mean, I think he had a great season last year, but I mean, he played on a White Sox team which was not good. And I mean, I think they gave up way too much. You gave up your future for Garrett Crochet, and I'm pretty sure he's in his 30s if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
Or
little old,
he's I
but
think he's no, he's 25.
He's 25.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I would have made the trade, but I mean, the Red Sox did, and I guess you can only hope the best. I think the Red Sox might be an interesting place. I think they're going to throw money at Pete Alonso. I think a couple teams are, but I think Pete Alonso is just going to go to the Yankees because they have everything. They just need a first baseman.
exactly. And they were in the talks for Max Fried and Blake Snell before they signed with their respective teams. So you knew they wanted to get a pitcher, and they got a pretty solid guy. But I feel like giving up a lot of those prospects. I mean, the White Sox definitely need it. Kind of at the end of the day, I think it kind of sucks for those prospects. So you know the White Sox, you know how they don't have the ability to develop. So
I saw a potential trade, and it was like a Luis Arias to the White Sox for Luis Robert. I feel bad for Luis Arias because I mean he's won like 2 or 3 straight batting titles, and I mean, he's going to the
yeah,
White Sox. That's bad.
yeah. So but moving on to the two deals that happened today. First one we had, I think it was about around like 11, 12 o'clock. We had Devin Williams getting traded to the Yankees for Nestor Cortez. And I can't remember the second baseman. Oh, Caleb Durbin, a guy that the Milwaukee Brewers are very much like, a guy who could play all around the field. What were your thoughts on this trade when you saw it, and what type of impact could you see these players making on their new respective teams?
I think the Yankees won that trade by a lot. I mean, Nestor Cortez isn't an elite pitcher. He just gets guys out with his weird windup and all that, like his the way he throws it, because he'll go sidearm over the top. And the Yankees got an elite closer in Devin Williams, so I think the Yankees easily won that trade. I think the Yankees will make a nice run again this year in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I definitely love this trade for the Yankees. Losing a guy like Clay Holmes, I think he signed with the Mets if I'm not mistaken, but he was really shaky for you. And then you had a guy emerge in Luke Weaver, who was a great closer for you last year. He'll move into the seventh or eighth inning hole. And then you got Devin Williams. He had a shaky playoffs, but he still had a below 2 ERA. It's really hard to do that as a bullpen pitcher nowadays. And I think that's the perfect move they needed to make. And like I said earlier, the Yankees are able to make these moves because they didn't have to re-sign Juan Soto. I feel like Juan Soto not coming back for that big contract is going to benefit it more than people really think. So
I think Pete Alonso is going to get a big deal, but he's not going to get as big of a deal as Soto. So you're still going to have a lot, like maybe 200-300 million to go spend if you need.
yeah, but moving on to the final trade that happened today, it was about 5 hours ago. We had Kyle Tucker getting traded to Chicago Cubs for Isak Paredes, Hayden Wawinski, and one of their best prospects in the farm system for the Cubs, Cam Smith. What were your thoughts about this trade, and what are your thoughts on Kyle Tucker? What type of impact he could make in Chicago?
I don't know. The Cubs, they're kind of like a weird team because they have a young team, but like a veteran team. They just don't have like a superstar on the team. I don't think Kyle Tucker's a superstar. I think he's good. He'll bring a lot of like home runs to them. I just think they need to go get a superstar.
Yeah, I
They
could.
have they have a good pitching rotation. It's their starting pitcher.
Yeah. I think just looking at this trade, I feel like Kyle Tucker's they needed an offensive bat out of the outfield. I know Suzuki and Ian Happ have been really solid for them, but I think Kyle Tucker's on another tier on top of them. I feel like Kyle Tucker's in the tier of underrated in my opinion. A lot of people he doesn't get as much credit as he should playing for the Houston Astros because they had the guys like Altuve, Bregman, used to have Correa, they got Alvarez. Like they don't you don't get it. He didn't get as much recognition as he should have. So but overall, looking at this trade, Kyle Tucker, the right move the Cubs needed to make, and I feel like they didn't give up too much for him, but they did exactly what they needed to do. Get a guy who could hit for them, and for the Astros, they didn't get a bad haul, but not like the greatest haul in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I think the Houston Astros are just rebuilding kind of because they're just gonna let all the older guys just leave.
Yeah, I think trading for Paredes leads the way for Bregman leaving, so it's gonna be interesting to see in these next couple of days if he leaves or in the next couple of weeks. So but main thing I want to talk about is Kyle Tucker. He's a free agent after this year. Do you see him trying to have the Juan Soto strategy, play insane this year and try to go to get a massive contract, or you think him and the Cubs will get a contract extension done because he has all intentions to go to free agency. So you think the Cubs, even if he plays well, do you think they have a chance to bring him back at the end of the year?
I think Kyle Tucker's want to win another World Series, so I can see him leaving, doing what's Juan Soto do, betting on yourself, hoping you do well, getting a nice contract in the offseason, and going to the best team that's fit for you to win a World Series.
Yeah, so no, I agree. I think Kyle Tucker, he's gonna want the bag and also go to a team that's contending. Like, even though he made the World Series with the Yankees, the Mets, they were a very like high vibe team, and they just really got hot at the right time. And Lindor was in MVP talks the entire season. If it wasn't in for an insane season by Otani, he would have won the MVP. And they have a guy like Mark Vientos who shined in the playoffs. Their pitching rotation, if they can get some guys in there, will be good. They have Nemo. They have it's going to be interesting to see what they do at first baseman. They have Lindor, like I said. It's going to be interesting to see if they bring Iglesias back and play him in second base. And they have guys like Tyrone Taylor, Starling Marte. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. So
Yeah, they're the Mets are a weird team too. Their bullpen, I'm not sure is one of the greatest,
yeah,
but I mean, you can see what the Mets do. They have some superstars, and then you have like guys like Iglesias that I don't think they're that good.
yeah,
So we can just see because Brett Beatty, he might be a starter, and he just hasn't wasn't good last year. So
yeah, I
they have
agree.
to start him like 150 some games.
Yeah,
I'll see him doing well.
yeah, I agree. So, but any other things you want to talk about, or like any other points you want to make?
Last night, the 49ers linebacker, Devondre Campbell, just said, I'm done with this. I think that's not a good look for yourself.
Yeah, and they every player like got interviewed for the Niners was asked about it, and I think George Kittle said it best. He said, "I don't want to play with I don't want to play with a player who acts like that, and I hope to never play with a player who acts like that." You just like they threw it under the bed and said that's not what represents our team, but it's kind of been what their season has been. It's been pretty much exposed that they need McCaffrey to succeed. I don't want to say this saying that like we have Saquon Barkley, if he gets hurt, we get screwed. But I put more trust into Jalen Hurts than I have Brock Purdy. And I need all the people who said Brock Purdy than Jalen Hurts to start talking because it doesn't. And they can talk all they want. I don't care if Jalen Hurts had 100 passing yards. He's not putting up 6 points. You
Yeah.
saw what he for crying out loud. You saw what he did to the Rams a couple weeks ago. He played well, and then Saquon just had his game. But still, like,
Yeah, in fantasy, I started Brock Purdy. That was wrong.
yeah, no,
Because,
I
I mean, the Bills, they destroyed the Rams defense, so I thought Brock Purdy was going to do the same. Brock
exactly,
Purdy's just a system quarterback, and he needs Pro Bowl guys around him. And if the Niners let him walk, I mean, I don't blame them.
yeah.
Because I think the Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold, he's a free agent, so I'm not sure if he's going to stay because they have J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, and he was with the 49ers the last year. He was their backup quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do because Brock Purdy's in line for a huge contract extension, I think, at the end of this year or next year. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And then they got to make their decision about Debo Samuel, too, because he's been really bad this year. And he likes to say he's not getting the ball enough. He had many opportunities last night, and he had a couple key drops. So,
Yeah, I mean, he had a wide open touchdown and he just flat out dropped.
so. But any other points you want to talk about at
The
all? Or?
last thing for college football is the biggest, I think the biggest game of the year, Army Navy. It's the most watched. It divides families, I think, in a good way. And I mean, just two guys that protect America, and I think it's one of the best things college football does. Army's ranked 22, and Navy's unranked, so I think Army wins.
Yeah, I have Army winning too, but it's just like you said, even to hear the word rank coming out of either of those teams, the way they've been playing the past couple years, it's just great that this year it might be more competitive about because it's going to be two teams that played well during the season, even though they couldn't do much out of it, but they still were able to do something with it. So
Before Navy played Notre Dame, everyone was talking about we might get a ranked Army Navy game, and we might get two because they were both in line to play in the conference championship, but Navy just fell off at the wrong time.
yeah, so no, it's definitely something great they do. It really represents America as a whole. It stinks that it's not at in Philly anymore, but it's still a great tradition every year, and it really shows that America. It shows how America stands as one every year. So,
Yeah,
but any other thing you want to mention?
no,
Or
that's it.
All right, it's gonna wrap up today's episode. Sorry it was a little long, but we just really wanted to have a good discussion about every topic. So, but once again, I'd like to thank Spino for coming on. Had a great discussion with you today. Everything seemed like we had like we had pretty much same opinions, but we had like more in deep discussions about it. But so
Yeah, thank you for bringing me on.
yeah, but other than that, that's gonna wrap up today's episode. I'll probably be back next week with some uploads on I don't know what days. We'll see. It's usually Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Thursday. But thanks again for Spina for coming on. And other than that, that's gonna wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.